Probably 10 or 11 years old. Well, I played midget hockey with a team called the Montcalm Maroons in the midget league, and that was when you were 14 or 15 years old, and they had all the degrees of age: midget, juvenile, junior, and so on. Well, you played some informal and some in leagues. So, well, I just happened to be a left winger. Yeah. And that's where I played, and I played all the levels of hockey, and except I didn't turn professional. I was a fast skater, yes, yeah. I can remember quite clearly. Even when the ice conditions were right on the street, we even played on the street with skates, but it had to be just perfect ice on freezing rain to make ice. Yeah. I can remember in juvenile. Playing against Kenny Reardon, who became quite a star with the Montreal Canadiens. Yeah. And we would face off against each other. We had some players that I remember on that team. Eddie Law was one, Bob Stooner was one, and so on. I can't remember them all, but that was about it. Yeah, pretty basic. Elbow pads that were just barely fitted on the elbow. We had no visors, and I wore a helmet once, but it covered my forehead. Like I don't know how to describe it. Made out of leather, but that was it. We had I had about 2 great Charlie horses that happened because my pants, where my pants finished and my knee pads started, there was a space. And if you ever got hit in that muscle there, I can remember my leg once was like a telephone pole. It had swollen up so badly. It took a long time to get back to normal. But that's when somebody gives you a knee in that part of the leg where you're unprotected. So it was very, very amateurish equipment, but that's all they had. Sticks were wood, and I think Northland was one of the main ones. And I see them break now very easy, watching it on television. And you had to really do something harsh with them to break them in my day. But the stick you had became part of you. Like I liked a 5-lie, and it just had a nice feel. And you taped it a certain way, and it was part of you. You couldn't go to bed without it. Well, Primo, Conacher, Jackson were the main line for the Maple Leafs, and I guess they were the ones that the name stuck. Yeah. I never wanted to go out on Saturday night because of the Maple Leaf with Foster Hewitt broadcast. So that was growing up. I played in the Olympic rink and I played in the amphitheater, so I was part and parcel of that scene. The commercial hockey was senior, and I'd watch some of those at the amphitheater. There was 2 leagues in junior hockey, and I played in both leagues. When I was 17, I played in the North Division at the Olympic rink with the Elmwood Maple Leafs, and it was a 4-team league, and we interplayed with the South Division, which was in the amphitheater. And that's when I played with the Winnipeg Rangers. But I went from the Elmwood Maple Leafs in the North Division at age 17 to the Rangers, Winnipeg Rangers, at the amphitheater the following year. So I had a sample of both, North Division and South Division. Yeah. Well, they were I used to kid in the Olympic rink. It was warmer to dress outside in a snowbank than to go inside in the dressing room. The Olympic rink was built out of solid concrete, and if they had any heat, it was well hidden somewhere. It was a cold. It was natural ice too. The amphitheater, they called it the barn. It was a place built for horses and turned into a rink. They had artificial ice there, but every game we played where there was a sellout, and I can remember quite a few, that they had the fire department there because full house, and if there was ever anything to do with smoke or fire, it would be a panic. It would be a Coconut Grove type of happening. So it's one thing I always kept in mind, because all they did with the amphitheater was put new coats of paint on it, on the wood, and it would be a beautiful conflagration, if that's what you call a good fire, if it went up. But anyway, it didn't happen, thank God, and that was it.
And those were the only two main rinks, or sizable?
Except for Sherburne Park, where I learned to play, and we had corner rinks in those days, lots of them. And then, of course, you got the municipal rinks. Each municipality had a rink that covered a lot of needs for kids that wanted to play hockey, and some of the leagues were established there. But that was after my time, yeah. Well, we won the Memorial Cup in 1941, and that was the highlight of hockey next to the NHL. You had the NHL as number one, and junior hockey in Canada was number two, and the Memorial Cup was very, very big. And we won it in 1941. Before that, the game was tied, and I scored the so-called winning goal with about 2 minutes to go. And then I got a penalty. And while I was in the box, the Montreal Royals scored 2 goals to beat us 4-3. And the big headline in the paper said, Fabro, Ranger hero to GOAT. So that was one of highlights of my career. Well, I was pretty downhearted. Yeah.
Understandable.
Well, we had to play that was the 4th game, and we had to play the final game because it was best of 5 in Toronto, and we won there to win it.
And what was that experience like, playing in Toronto as a young man in the Memorial Cup?
Very, very big. Very big. It was, it's a highlight, a real highlight. The crowds grew later on with the Memorial Cup, but we probably had about 6,000-7,000 people there, which I think the Maple Leaf Gardens in those days only had about 10,000 people, so it was well populated. Yeah. Quite a chapter in your life. You say, to yourself, I'm walking down the same halls that some of the NHLers walk down, so it made you feel pretty important. Routine.
Yeah.
No, we were kindred spirits, I'd call it. Yeah. The line I played with was special because we were the first line for the Rangers, and in the Memorial Cup final, Billy Robinson, our center man, he scored 8 goals. Les Hickey, our right wing, he scored 7, and I played left wing, and I scored 6. So we had the 3 of us combined to 21 goals. So it was creditable. We had to beat somebody in Thunder Bay or Fort Francis, I forget which one, but that was at the inter-province playoff. And then we had a tough series against the Saskatoon Quakers. And they had a few future NHL players on their roster. And it went to, in those days it was 5 games, and it went to 5 games. And we beat them pretty handily in Winnipeg on the 5th game. So we advanced then to the Memorial Cup. And the Memorial Cup, we had to use Toronto as our home base, and we played Montreal Royals, and of course they used Montreal as their home base. So, and it was best of 5 there too. Yeah, Yeah, well, it's sort of a Hollywood feeling, you know. You say, well, I'm in the limelight. Uh, you think, you know, you're the star of everything, but you're just another guy walking down the street when you think about it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they were reasonable. Yeah. I never had any sort of feelings about they coached. Some of them were pretty basic, you know. They changed the lines, and that was it. Like when you compare what the style that we played under and the coaching we had compared to today, it's like day and night. You know, here they go into great detail about many things. You know how you make your turns, how you pass the puck, how you do all stuff like that. They never. We did a lot of conditioning. That was our thing, and the rest was physical. You're skating like hell and trying to keep away from body checks and stuff like that. Well, in the Memorial Cup, Baldy Northcott was our coach, and he was played with the Chicago Blackhawks in his playing days, but he was a typical nice man, and all he did was change the lines. So that's what I remember about him. Yeah. No, the reason why I had an offer I had an offer to go with New York Rangers, and I went to their school, and they offered me a contract with their farm team, the St. Paul Saints, and the salary that they were offering me was less than the salary I was getting at my job in Winnipeg when I started as a salesman with the company that I spent 50 years with. So I turned it down.
Okay.
I would have liked to have partaken of some professional hockey, but it just didn't fit. Yeah, well, we had Glenn Harmon played with the Canadiens for about 6-7 years in Montreal. Uh, Billy Robinson played in the Some of them played in the American League, and I had a chance to go down there, and I didn't because I had a pretty good job. I was a salesman. I had a car and everything, so I stayed home. In those days, some of the hockey players would come home and they'd have to find a job. It was not easy. And some of them ended up driving trucks or digging ditches. Yeah, I played quite a bit of, I guess it was called amateur hockey. I played on 3 Western Allen Cup final teams from Winnipeg here. One was the Rio Flyers, one was the Stan Evans Stylists, and one was the Graham Hamey Plowmen. And we got into the Western Finals every year, and then we got beat out in the Allen Cup. All close games. That was 40, 49, 48, 49, 50, right at the end of that era.
Yeah. 3 years in a row.
And then before that, I should have mentioned, I played in the Maritime Senior League. I was down in Pictou, and they played there. It's like semi-professional. Very popular. Yeah. And I played with Holy Rosary, and we won it once or twice, but it was very competitive. And when you get the priest swearing on the bench, you know that it's got to be serious. Well, I played in the States Dominion League across the border with Halleck. That was during the years where I was playing senior in Winnipeg. Then I'd play with the Halleck team, and they had about 8 teams down there. It's all northern Minnesota and North Dakota. Well, we got paid a bit, but it was, it wasn't very much. Yeah. We managed to get down there by car. I had a car in those days because when I was a salesman, I had a car, and so we were able to use our own transport. Yeah, there's something to do with the trading from the North Division to the South Division, and they had the Amateur Hockey Association gave me clearance to play in the South Division. That's the way that happened.
Okay.
It didn't come to any bloodletting.
No.
We had some time to play in the commercial leagues with different teams. Like I played with an outfit called Jack Kings, and it was a league formed in Winnipeg, and it was to take care of players that were not good enough to be in the NHL, but were still able to play, and some that had played in the NHL and were at the end of their career. So it was good hockey, and it was something that kept everything going, and it was well received. Well received. A lot of my peers have died, sadly, but it's the way it is. There's our Memorial Cup team. We had 19 on the roster, and there's only 2 of us left. Earl Fast and myself, and we're the 2 survivors, and we see each other quite regularly. So, it's sort of nice that we keep that link. As a career, well, I joined a company that was well known in Winnipeg called McMahon. They were distributors of binder twine and rope, and I signed on as the office boy at age 16, and I stayed there for 50 years, and I ended up as the CEO and chairman, and we built a branch system across all the cities in Canada, major cities, from Halifax to Vancouver. So that was my career, and we had at the end when I retired, we were doing a sale volume of about $80 or $90 million, and we were heavily into floor covering, carpets and linoleums, and we were the first big distributors of binder twine and rope. And binder twine was huge in the Depression years when binders were still in vogue before combines were invented. And we did very well as the prime distributors for that product. And we had salesmen out in different parts of the country, and we ended up as one of the Winnipeg used to be known as the distribution center for Western Canada. We've lost that position because all these other cities have become just as important. Regina, Saskatoon, Calgary, Edmonton. But in my day, all the big names were Montreal, Toronto, Winnipeg, Vancouver. Like Calgary and Edmonton were still sort of junior cities. They hadn't really hit the oil boom yet. Helped build character of one thing. You learn to take the hard knocks and give out a few, but you learned more about fair play and I would say decency. That's the way I looked at it, and it was a happy chapter in my life. So I have nothing but fond regards or memories. Wherever possible. There's a lot of my peers have died, so there's limitations now.